A deleted post ignites a diplomatic firestorm. Pakistan's defense minister calls Israel evil. Israel fires back, accuses Islamabad of incitement and bias. Now threats, accusations, and nuclear rumors swirl. All while Pakistan tries to mediate peace. So, is this just rhetoric, or the opening shots of a new confrontation? A now-deleted social media post by Pakistan's defense minister, Khawaja Asif, has triggered a fierce exchange with Israel, raising questions over an already volatile diplomatic landscape, as Islamabad currently acts as a mediator between the US-Iran negotiations. In the post, Asif described Israel as evil and a curse for humanity over its strikes in Lebanon, writing that genocide is being committed, even as ceasefire talks were underway in Islamabad. Khawaja wrote,
Israel is evil and a curse for humanity. While peace talks are underway in Islamabad, genocide is being committed in Lebanon. Innocent citizens are being killed by Israel. First Gaza, then Iran, and now Lebanon. Bloodletting continues unabated. I hope and pray that the people who created this cancerous state on Palestinian land to get rid of European Jews burn in hell.
That language wasn't going to sit well with Tel Aviv. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded within hours, calling the remarks outrageous and unacceptable from any government claiming neutrality in ongoing peace efforts.
Pakistan Defense Minister's call for Israel's annihilation is outrageous. This is not a statement that can be tolerated from any government, especially not from one that claims to be a neutral arbiter for peace.
As pressure mounted on Asif, he deleted the post, but the damage was already done. Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Saar also posted the screenshot of the post and accused Pakistan's leadership of promoting blatant anti-Semitic blood libels and warned that branding Israel as cancerous amounted to a call for its destruction.
Israel views very gravely these blatant anti-Semitic blood libels from a government claiming to mediate peace. Calling the Jewish state cancerous is effectively calling for its annihilation.
The unusually direct exchange marks a departure from past practice. Israel and Pakistan do not maintain formal diplomatic ties and have historically avoided public confrontation at this level. However, that uncomfortable silence took an unusual turn last week when reports of Pakistan and China threatening Israel with a nuclear attack in case Netanyahu did the same with Iran came to the fore. Even as a fragile ceasefire between the United States and Iran took hold this week, a new and far more dangerous spectre has entered the conversation: a nuclear war. The warning came not from a government briefing or classified intelligence, but from a live television studio in Israel, where journalist Shimon Riklin, appearing alongside National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir on Channel 14, raised the possibility of deploying a neutron bomb against Iran.
Why aren't we using what's called an atomic neutron bomb in Iran? It's a type of atomic bomb that doesn't damage buildings. It kills people in a limited way, everywhere.
Ben-Gvir did not condemn the suggestion. He nodded, laughed, and told Riklin to keep speaking. The exchange drew immediate international attention. Within hours, claims began circulating that both China and Pakistan had privately warned Israel against any nuclear use. The claims were relayed publicly by American commentator and Young Turks co-founder Cenk Uygur, speaking on Piers Morgan Uncensored on April 8th. Neither Beijing nor Islamabad has officially confirmed any such warning, and no government statement from either country has been independently verified at the time of broadcast.
And by the way, if you haven't heard, China and Pakistan have said that if Israel nukes Iran, they will nuke Israel. So here we are on the precipice of a nuclear holocaust because this baboon is in office and he's like, oh, Bibi, how can I make you happy? Can you please give me more money? Am I going to be a hero, Bibi? I can't stand this guy. And doing the exact opposite of what he promised.
Okay.
The exact opposite. And one more thing that a point that Glenn made that is really important. So Russia goes and destroys their army and their treasure in Ukraine. Now we're going to destroy our treasure. We spent $300 million on the rescue alone. It was a brilliant operation, but $300 million. We're spending $1 to $2 billion a day.
China's foreign ministry, for its part, has consistently called for restraint and a political settlement, stopping well short of any nuclear ultimatum in its public statements. What is on the record, however, is the broader context. The ceasefire between the US and Iran, brokered by Pakistan on April 8th, with just 90 minutes to spare before Trump's deadline, remains deeply unstable. Israel has said it does not consider itself bound by the agreement in Lebanon. Iran has already threatened to suspend it, and IRGC commanders, in a joint statement, warned their forces remain with hands on the trigger. Against that backdrop, a laughing minister and a journalist casually discussing atomic weapons on primetime television is not simply inflammatory. For a region already 40 days into war, it is a measure of exactly how far things have gone. The latest wave of US-Israeli strikes is pushing the Iran conflict into a far more dangerous phase, with nuclear sites now at the center of the battlefield. Iran's atomic agency has issued a defiant message. Even heavy bombs will not stop its nuclear program.
US-Israeli attack on Ardakan yellowcake plant in Yazd is a blatant violation of the immunity of peaceful nuclear facilities, targeting the reactor fuel supply chain and nuclear medicine. Iran's nuclear tech serves global peace and human health, a path heavy bombs will never halt.
But on the ground, the risks are rapidly escalating. The International Atomic Energy Agency has confirmed that recent strikes landed alarmingly close to the Bushehr nuclear power plant, the country's only operational nuclear reactor. One impact point was just around 75 meters from the facility's perimeter, though the reactor itself remains intact.
Based on its independent analysis of new satellite imagery and detailed knowledge of the site, the IAEA can confirm recent impacts of military strikes close to Iran's Bushehr nuclear power plant, including one just 75 meters from the site perimeter.
The warning from global nuclear authorities is stark. The IAEA says continued military activity near such a site poses a very real danger of a radiological disaster that could spread beyond Iran's borders. Russia, which has a long-standing involvement in the Bushehr facility, has been evacuating its personnel from the site, signaling growing alarm over the safety of the reactor and surrounding infrastructure. Iran has gone further, warning of a serious risk of radioactive contamination if strikes continue near Bushehr, raising fears of a potential environmental crisis in the Gulf region. Earlier on April 5th, Araghchi wrote to UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, condemning US-Israeli strikes on Iran's nuclear infrastructure, including the Bushehr nuclear plant. Araghchi warned that strikes near Bushehr risk radioactive contamination with severe human and environmental consequences.
The strikes expose the entire region to a serious risk of radioactive contamination with serious human and environmental consequences. The repeated attacks by the aggressors in the vicinity of the active Bushehr nuclear power plant are of great concern. The proximity of these attacks to an active nuclear facility creates an intolerable situation that poses a serious risk of a radiological release.
The strikes are not isolated. In Isfahan, a key hub for Iran's nuclear and military infrastructure, recent air defense operations turned deadly. At least 4 Iranian army officers were killed while responding to incoming attacks, underscoring how deeply the conflict is penetrating sensitive strategic zones. This dual targeting of nuclear-linked regions, Bushehr in the south and Isfahan in the center, signals a shift. What began as broader military strikes is now increasingly intersecting with Iran's nuclear architecture. And yet Tehran is doubling down. Officials argue that sustained bombing cannot dismantle Iran's nuclear program, describing it as dispersed, fortified, and technologically resilient. But that raises a critical question. If strikes cannot halt the program, what is the objective of targeting areas near nuclear facilities? Critics warn the strategy risks triggering a nuclear safety crisis without delivering meaningful strategic gains. Even near misses could disrupt power systems, damage containment structures, or compromise safety mechanisms, with consequences far beyond the battlefield. The International Atomic Energy Agency has reiterated that nuclear sites must never be targeted. Yet recent strikes near Bushehr suggest that the boundary is being dangerously tested. The human toll is already evident, with a projectile near the facility killing a security staff member and damaging infrastructure. The conflict is now entering a volatile phase. Iran signals its nuclear ambitions will endure, while continued strikes heighten the risk of a catastrophic radiological incident that could reshape the region.